What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. If you're watching this video today, you probably want to know how you can completely transform the look of your boat. So in 3 easy steps in this video today, I'm going to show you how you can get rid of that oxidation and bring a shine back into your boat. With that intro, you guys just saw me go through and knock out this side of the boat. I wanted to get this side of the boat done first. That way you guys had a clear example of a before on the other side and an after on this side. Let's go through the steps and show you what you need. 800, 1000, and 2000 grit wet sandpaper. Tools required for this: a DA polisher. You can also use a palm sander. I just prefer DA polisher as they have a lot more cutting force. That way when we take our sandpaper, they fit right on top of the DA polisher. Secondary tool we need here is a rotary polisher with 2 different kinds of wool pads. One is going to be a cutting pad and one needs to be a polishing pad. When it comes to compounds, you can go crazy. You can get all kinds of compounds. For this video's sake, we are just using off-the-shelf name branded stuff you can easily go pick up for relatively cheap at a local parts store or any kind of place. First thing you need is oxidation remover and then some kind of heavy polish for a vehicle. So this is a step 1 polish right here, pure polish. From Mother's, you can use Meguiar's, you can use any kind of polish, but it needs to be a cutting polish. It can't be a finishing polish. With that being said, let's go ahead, see if we can get this boat moved out of here. That way I can take care of this side. You guys already saw the stuff we use. Let's go through the steps and get this side polished out. For this job here, I'm actually removing the stickers off the boat. We decided this boat would look much better with those stickers removed once it's polished. Because these stickers were left on for so long, even when removed, you can still see the imprint of where the stickers used to be. To try and fix this, I'm using 800 grit sandpaper and blending in the existing gel coat with where the stickers used to be. In some cases, this does work very well, but as you'll see at the end of the video, you can still see a slight imprint of where those stickers used to be. To continue on with the rest of the boat, we are using 800 grit sandpaper, marking off a 2 foot by 2 foot section, spraying it with water, and using our DA polisher at the highest speed. The pattern that we are following is side to side, up, down, side to side. Once that's fully complete, you can move on to the next section. Alright, I'm exhausted. We're going to wrap this up for the day. Come back tomorrow in the afternoon. Might need even a third day, but I got the whole lower side sanded out in 800, and I even sanded out just on this upper ledge here. We are back, day 2, starting off with a little exterior wash on the side we previously sanded yesterday. Just using Dawn dish soap, it is perfect for applications like this. We are simply just pouring some into a bucket, then washing off the side of the boat, making sure we get all that previous chalky oxidation off that we sanded yesterday. Starting off our sanding procedure once again for the day, we are now using 1000 grit sandpaper, doing the same thing we did with the 800 grit sandpaper, going side to side, up to down, and side to side, and then moving on to the next section. Once we are done sanding with 1000 grit sandpaper, we are going back again and washing off the boat with Dawn dish soap. This ensures when we go to our next step of sanding, there's no contaminants on the gel coat and we can start off fresh. And just like that, we are on to 2000 grit wet sand. Just like before, wet the surface, wet the sandpaper, but instead of going side to side, up, down, side to side, we are taking one more step and doing side to side, up, down, side to side, up, down, and side to side once again. Now I've gone ahead, finished 2000 grit, and I washed this side of the boat, but I want to show you guys something very important as to why we wet sand the side of the boat before we polish it. This is why. As you can see, just after wet sanding up to 2000 grit, you can see the reflection of the skid steer over there. The only thing is there's no reflection this way. That is because we haven't polished it yet. But if you've wet sanded correctly, this is what you're going to see. Oh, there's some dirt here still. I guess we missed a spot. But you wet sand correctly, you're going to see a reflection. Now we're moving on to the polishing step. We're using a rotary polisher like I stated before. We're using a white wool cutting pad, and we are using Meguiar's oxidation remover. This stuff you can all get at a parts store. Around here it would be Canadian Tire for relatively cheap. These polishers go for just over $100. They're actually pretty decent. They last for quite a while as long as they don't overheat. This stuff here is around $12, and you're going to need probably 2 of these at most to do a boat this size. You can get better polishes and stuff that are going to make your life so much easier when it comes to this, but if you're trying to keep it on a budget and this is your first time, I recommend taking it slow, buy the cheaper stuff, go through it. But you can get 3M, there's Furicula polish. Both that stuff is very good. I've used it both in the past. Really happy with that stuff, and it works really well. There's other different Meguiar's cutting compounds that are also really good. They usually come in a bottle about this big for the 3M and the Furicula polish. I think that's how it's pronounced. And those are around $60 though for a bottle like that in comparison to one of these. And would you look at that, we've moved on to polishing. So what I'm doing is putting some polishing compound onto the side of the boat. Sometimes you can put it onto the pad, but it tends to clog it up just a little bit more. Like I said before, I'm using a rotary polisher with a wool cutting pad. Now, as you can see, the way I'm doing this is I'm tilting the pad so that there's somewhat of an angle for when I'm on the flat surface, but a lot of the times you'll see me, I'm just holding that pad relatively flat with the surface, and really all you're trying to do right now is work that compound into the gel coat to bring that shine back into it. What you want to do is work that compound as much as you can into that gel coat so that there's no compound left. Keeping the pad nice and flat as you're doing this will ensure that you're not cutting too much into that gel coat and you're just leaving a nice shine behind. With just oxidation remover, you can see the difference. That line from polish right there, oxidation remover polish, to wet sand brings that shine back into it. And even right along here you can see the difference between wet sand and polish. This whole side of the boat has been polished with oxidation remover. Some of you would say, hey, that looks pretty good, but we got to take it one more step to finish it out. For this step, we are using a 3M wool polishing pad with some Mother's Pure Polish. Like I said, you can use any vehicle polish, it just needs to be a polish. We have moved on to the second step of polishing using our yellow polishing pad and our polishing compound. We're basically just doing the same exact thing, except this time we can do a little bit bigger of a surface area, and same as before, we're just leaving that pad nice and flat with the surface and working that compound into the gel coat. Last and final step is a sealer wax. Again, we're just using Meguiar's marine wax. Picked this up at the store, pretty cheap. We're going to be applying it with our DA polisher and just a very soft foam pad. Now before I turn the camera around and show you guys the final product, let's break down the 3 steps we did today. Step number 1 was sanding, step number 2 was polishing, and step number 3 was waxing. We started it with 800 grit, 1000 grit, 2000 grit, then we compounded with a white wool pad, oxidation remover, finished it with a yellow polishing pad and Mother's Pure Polish, and we put a wax on the boat with Meguiar's Flagship Wax. With all that being said, let's see how it turned out.